The walls of Westminster are echoing with unprecedented whispers as a constitutional storm unlike anything seen in modern British history begins to unfold. Behind the ancient oak doors of the House of Lords, a debate is raging that could fundamentally alter the future of the British monarchy. At the center of this brewing tempest stands Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, whose very title now hangs in the balance as parliamentarians consider the unthinkable, completely severing her remaining ties to the crown. What started as quiet murmurs of discontent has exploded into full-blown parliamentary action, with senior lords from across the political spectrum uniting in a way rarely seen in the upper chamber. The catalyst for this extraordinary development wasn't a single scandal or tabloid revelation, but rather a pattern of behavior that many in Westminster now view as a systematic exploitation of royal privilege for commercial gain. The breaking point came during a seemingly innocent moment at a Hollywood charity gala in March 2025. Meghan was captured on camera laughing with celebrities when someone addressed her as Ms. Markle. Her response, delivered with theatrical flair to the delight of the A-list crowd, was telling. "Actually, it's Your Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, but who's counting?" The room erupted in laughter, but across the Atlantic, parliamentary officials were taking notes. This wasn't the first time Meghan had publicly emphasized her royal status while simultaneously distancing herself from royal responsibilities, but it would prove to be the last straw for many in government. Within weeks of that viral moment, Lord Pemberton, a respected crossbench peer with decades of constitutional experience, formally tabled a motion that sent shockwaves through both Buckingham Palace and Montecito. The petition, backed by an unprecedented coalition of Conservative, Labour, and Liberal Democrat peers, called for the immediate revocation of Meghan's ducal title on grounds of persistent misuse of royal designation for commercial purposes and diplomatic overreach. The timing couldn't have been more significant. Just months earlier, Meghan had embarked on what palace insiders described as a rogue royal tour of South America, visiting 3 countries in an unofficial capacity while being received with full state honors typically reserved for working members of the royal family. In Colombia, she was photographed cutting ribbons at official ceremonies, delivering speeches to government officials, and even participating in what appeared to be diplomatic discussions with local ministers. The Foreign Office, caught completely off guard, scrambled to clarify that she was traveling as a private citizen, not as a representative of the British Crown. But the damage was already done. Video footage showed Meghan being introduced at every event as Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, a title she had publicly agreed to stop using when she and Harry stepped back from royal duties. More damaging still were the commercial implications of the trip, which was later revealed to have been partially funded by her production company and documented for an upcoming Netflix series about global women's empowerment. Parliamentary sources reveal that the Colombia incident was the tipping point for many previously sympathetic lawmakers. Lord Margaret Thornley, a Labour peer who had initially defended Meghan during the early days of her royal struggles, publicly stated that the line between private citizen and royal representative had been irreparably blurred. The concern wasn't just about protocol violations, but about the potential for serious diplomatic complications when someone bearing royal titles acts without government oversight. The legal foundation for stripping Meghan's title rests on precedents dating back to the 1917 Letters Patent, which established clear guidelines for the use and revocation of royal titles. Legal scholars point to Section 12 of the Royal Titles Act, which explicitly states that titles can be withdrawn if they are used in manner inconsistent with the dignity of the crown or contrary to the interests of the realm. Constitutional experts argue that Meghan's pattern of leveraging her royal status for entertainment ventures while avoiding the constraints and responsibilities of royal life fits precisely within these parameters. The evidence compiled by parliamentary researchers paints a picture of systematic commercial exploitation spanning multiple years. Beyond the high-profile Netflix and Spotify deals, investigators discovered that Meghan's representatives had attempted to trademark variations of her royal title in 17 different countries, for use on everything from clothing lines to wellness products. Though most applications were ultimately withdrawn after legal challenges, the intent was clear: to build a global brand around her connection to the British Crown. This groundswell of public opinion has emboldened parliamentary action in ways that palace protests never could. Lord Pemberton's motion has gained momentum with each passing week, attracting endorsements from unexpected quarters. Former Archbishop of Canterbury, Lord Williams of Oystermouth shocked observers by lending his support, stating that the sacred nature of royal titles must be preserved from commercial contamination. The international implications of this crisis extend far beyond British shores. Commonwealth realms are watching nervously as the mother country grapples with how to handle a rogue royal who maintains symbolic ties to their head of state, while actively undermining institutional authority. Canadian Prime Minister's office quietly indicated that they would support any decision made by Westminster, while Australian officials have been more direct, with Deputy Prime Minister Sarah Chen stating that royal titles should serve the crown, not personal ambition. Behind the scenes at Buckingham Palace, the mood is described as one of resigned determination. King Charles III, who has maintained public silence on the Meghan situation, privately conveyed to senior courtiers that he views parliamentary action as both inevitable and necessary. Palace sources suggest that Charles sees the Lord's intervention as providing political cover for decisions the monarchy couldn't make independently, without appearing vindictive or racially motivated. The Archbishop of Canterbury has reportedly been consulted on the spiritual and constitutional implications of title revocation, marking the first time in modern history that the Church has been asked to weigh in on such a matter. Religious scholars point out that ducal titles carry semi-sacred significance dating back to medieval concepts of divine appointment, making their removal more than a simple administrative action. As the parliamentary process moves forward, legal experts predict that Meghan will likely mount a court challenge, potentially arguing that title revocation violates European human rights conventions or constitutes discrimination. However, constitutional lawyers note that royal titles are considered gifts of the crown, rather than legal rights, making successful legal challenge extremely difficult. The broader implications of this crisis extend to fundamental questions about the nature of modern monarchy. If Meghan's title is stripped, it would establish precedent for holding all royal family members accountable to consistent standards of behavior and service. This could have far-reaching effects on how other members of the family approach their public roles and commercial activities. For Meghan herself, the potential loss of her ducal title represents more than symbolic rejection. It threatens the foundation of her post-royal brand identity. Without the credibility that comes from royal association, her ability to command premium speaking fees, secure lucrative media deals, and maintain her position as a global influencer could be severely compromised. The final vote in the House of Lords is expected within the coming months, with constitutional experts predicting overwhelming passage of the revocation measure. If successful, Meghan Markle would become the first person in modern British history to have a ducal title formally stripped by parliamentary action, marking the end of one of the most controversial chapters in recent royal history, and setting precedent for how the monarchy handles future crises of institutional authority.